Hi guys, wow, I was so wrong. Spin Master is not dead, or Spin Master has not lost the DC license. They just have not have any new product in stores for the last 3 months. But that's all about to change because I found this guy at Target. This is a Target exclusive, Mr. Freeze. They had another figure at Target. It's a Batman repaint. I didn't pick it up, but I mean, I may eventually pick it up just because I want to support Spin Master and release this line of toys. And as you can see from the packaging, this is part of that Tech Batman packaging. I believe maybe this might be the new packaging going forward. We're not going to call it Tech Batman, but maybe call it a version 2.0 of the packaging. As you know, the previous packaging looks like this. So on this is the old packaging. I think they're gonna phase all this stuff out and then replace it with this kind of more plasticky packaging. But before we open up Mr. Freeze, I want to talk about Marvel. So Marvel also has this 4-inch line that's coming out, I guess to compete with DC. Now it says Kenner on here, but it's actually Hasbro. Hasbro may have bought out Kenner and you know, just basically continue the line as Kenner, but it's really Hasbro. I mean, if you think about it, there's only like two major toy company. There's Mattel and Hasbro, and basically, yeah, Kenner is a subsidiary of Hasbro, but basically it's Hasbro. So the thing to notice is this 4-inch figure kind of looked like the Spin Master. It's a similar size and everything, except if you notice the arm, there's no articulation. There is maybe 5 points: the head, the two arm, the two legs, and that's all you get. In a Spin Master, you get elbows, you get knees, you get legs. I mean, you get head. For a little 4-inch figure, this is pretty articulated, and it's cheaper than this thing. This thing is currently at Target for $10. This is $8. So there's a $2 difference. Even though I feel this should be about the same price as the Spin Master, I know that they're not gonna do that. Even a lot of people actually would like to see this even lower, maybe $5. But this is basically Marvel's version of the kind of like the answer to the Spin Master 4-inch line. I love competition, and to be honest, I may pick up more of these Marvel figures just because I like the packaging. I think they're very neat, the card stock and everything. But again, I feel that it's a little more expensive than the Spin Master. Given the two, I would probably pick up a Spin Master any day of the week. But again, I am interested in some of the Marvel stuff as well. So let's open him up. So yeah, the easiest way I've been noticing these packaging, you open up from the bottom. Okay, let's do that. So translucent gun, the accessory. So you get like a couple of these. Like there's another gun, and then another gun. So he gets like 3 different guns. As far as the figure, I love this translucent helmet, and kind of reminds me of I guess Arnold Schwarzenegger in that terrible movie, Batman and Robin. He has a backpack. This is new. Everything about this figure is a new scope and everything, so I actually really love this. This looks awesome. Okay, so Mr. Freeze. As you know, he is kind of like a tragic villain. He basically has a condition where he has to constantly be frozen in order to live. and I think his wife might be in the same condition or something, so he's trying to save her. I don't know. It's been a while since I read the comic book, but he's kind of like a tragic villain. He's not. I mean, he doesn't think of himself as a villain, but I mean, obviously, the world paints him as such. I do love these translucent gun. I like anything translucent actually, so it's kind of cool. So he has like 3 guns. I don't know what I'm gonna do with the 3rd gun because you can't really store it anywhere. I've noticed one thing that's interesting is that because he has this backpack, he no longer has a peg in the back. Many of these Spin Master figure, they have a little hole in the back, and in fact you basically peg stuff to the back or whatever, so you can store stuff. Anyway, but yeah, he is painted in the classic blue-gray deco. I feel like they're gonna come back and repaint him again in maybe a later release. But as far as I know, him and Bane is the other new figures in this kind of tech Batman line. I do want Bane. I just don't want to pay like 20 bucks to get the box set. I know eventually I'm gonna cave in and buy the box set just for the Bane figure, but I'm trying to get away from doing that because I feel paying $20 for a 4-inch figure, which is basically what I'll be doing. I feel that's kind of like a waste of my money. Sure, you get the Batmobile, sure, you get Batman or an extra Batman, but I mean, I really don't want those other figures. But anyway, all right. So I'm happy to have Mr. Freeze in my collection for $8, $9 with tax and everything. I think it's a pretty solid figure. Again, much better than the Marvel figures that you see in the packaging with no articulation. Because this guy, he comes with a standard articulation, the elbow, the knees, and the you know, I think his waist also. No, he does. His waist doesn't do it, but still, it's a pretty good his head obviously doesn't tilt because of the dome, but I mean, but think about this. They have to sculpt the head, detail the head, paint the eyes and everything, and then put a dome over it. So it's actually really cool for a little 4-inch figure to go all that detail for $8. It's pretty awesome. Let's take a look at the Marvel one. The next figure that's coming out August 2021, so that's a couple months from now. We're going to see Deathstroke, and that is actually a figure I am highly anticipating to get for $8 or $9. I'm definitely in line to pick that up. I suppose you can pre-order it, but I never do. I rather just go to the stores, find them on the shelf, and buy them. So Deathstroke, the Terminator, is the next figure I will be purchasing or looking forward to getting. Okay, so here's an addendum. So I've mentioned in the past that I find that these Spin Master accessories are just not worth my time, and I honestly don't really like them. And I should say that a lot of them are actually may have been recycled. And so if you look at this on the side, I don't know if you can see it, but you can see a little Batman logo on the gun here, which means, see the Batman logo right there? Which means that this is originally a Batman gun, and they just basically remolded it in kind of ice plastic and then given it to you know, Mr. Freeze, which, you know, for a little kid, they're not going to care. But I'm just letting you know they're reusing a lot of parts and stuff. Like I said, I feel like most of this body is new because you don't have a character that had a dome over his head, first of all. And you don't have really a character that has a backpack like this. And so I feel a lot of this is new. Sure, the legs or the arm might have been reused from a different character, but it's hardly noticeable. Speaking of noticeable, I've noticed that, so if you look at the back of the leg, you see how this plastic is so light blue plastic? It's apparently the leg, it was cast in this kind of light blue, like his arm, a light blue plastic, and then they must have painted the leg or his pants, so you can see the light blue plastic come through his knees here. It's only noticeable if you bend it, but if you have him standing straight up, you won't notice it. So yeah, like I said, I think they cast his leg, or at least the top part of his thighs, in this kind of light blue color, which doesn't make any sense. Wouldn't it make sense to cast the leg in the same dark blue plastic? Maybe it's just cheaper to just get one color. So I'm thinking the whole figure was cast in this light blue plastic, and then the dark color was painted over. Again, I don't know why. It's probably just for cost savings and stuff like that. It makes sense. You're trying to put out these figures as cheap as possible, and you know, to pass the savings on to the consumer. And for that, I don't knock them, but it feels kind of weird that they would cast his leg in a different color rather than a dark blue color. Having said that though, it does make sense that they cast it in a light color and then color the dark color over it, because it's much harder to cast the whole thing in a dark color and then try to paint a light color over it, because the dark will seep through. So it kind of makes sense, but at the same time, I'm not a toy manufacturer or anything like that. I just find that that's kind of interesting when they do these decision where the you can see the different colors of the plastic come through. Overall, very happy with Mr. Freeze. If you didn't know, Mr. Freeze is available at Target now. So if you're collecting the line, if you think all the figures you have already, there is one more. So Mr. Freeze at Target. Very excited to have him. So yeah. Okay guys, so here is Mr. Freeze standing next to all the other Batman's Rogues Gallery. Obviously I don't have Bane. Let's skip around that. Well, these are the figures I own. There might be actually more, but I don't know them. Most of these are animal based, so I'm gonna do all the animal co-op. So this is Talon, which is an owl. King Shark, which is a shark. Bronze Tiger, it's actually not a bad guy, but it's tiger, how's that? Man Bat is a bat, but I don't really consider him a bad guy either. He's kind of like a tragic bad guy, I guess, but he's not really a bad guy, he's a bat. Killer Moth is named after a moth. Firefly is named after a fly. Catwoman, clearly a cat. Killer Croc, alligator, or crocodile, I guess. Copperhead, clearly Copperhead snake. Okay, so these three are, I guess, human? Well, let's get Clayface out, because Clayface does not look anything like a human. He used to be a human actor, but then he got you know, this clay thing, so he's probably more clay than human. I don't know. So technically not an animal either, so clay. So finally, between these two, these are human-ish. they're both humans. So Riddler is really just a really smart guy. Edward Nygma, he's obsessed with riddles and stuff, but he's human. And then obviously we got Mr. Freeze, who is also human. So all the villains we have so far, there's only like basically 2 humans and Clayface. So pretty much, if I have Bane, he will be here, and Bane will be a Mexican wrestler, basically. Alright, so these are your humans, Riddler and Mr. Freeze.